Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to the Quantum Realm in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brett.
Alliance Assemble. Volume 153, and we have an interesting light news week, but we have a fun main topic to discuss. You know what? It's okay. You know, Brent and I actually sometimes like a light news week because it allows us to get creative with what we can do for the show.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Eventually, there's only so much news you can. It all runs together eventually. It's like, wait, did we talk about this? I don't even remember anymore. And so, a light news week, that's fine with me. I think the one real story we have this week is kind of a fun one. So we'll get there.
We will. But how's your week been?
It's been okay. I've been a little under the weather. There was a chance I wasn't going to be on tonight. Thank you, Travis Hines, for being willing to step in as always. But it's okay. I am doing better now. I am here, and no, whatever you're thinking it was not that. I promise. I was tested multiple times.
What I don't even know what you could be at this point. Not the Rona.
It's not the Rona. It's not the Rona.
Not the Rona.
No.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're slowly on the mend at that point.
Yep.
On the mend, yeah. Though, yeah, the family's finally back in town. They came back today, so it's been a very busy week at work. So not having to rush home and stay late at work was not a problem this week. So if all the times for them to be gone this week, it probably was the best at that point. Because
that probably worked out.
It does at that point. So, but all right, well, let us get the show plugs out of the way and all the network plugs. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 8 shows running the range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GUAPod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if we want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. It's our $1 tiers, our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job, and then our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon-exclusive shows, including our show, We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU Rewatch, and Brent, we dropped episode 14 on Monday, and what were we covering this week, or this month, actually?
This month was Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man movie, which yes. I once again started watching this week because my son wanted to watch it. So I'm like, all right, well, I just watched it, but whatever.
Let's watch it. Again, we can watch it all day,
right? We can watch it all day, so.
And we also have the DC Alliance guys doing their DC Through the Years, and they just dropped Return of Swamp Thing, that cinematic classic, The Return of Swamp Thing. I mean, I'm glad they watched it, so I didn't.
Yeah, I haven't listened yet, but I saw that dropped, and I just laughed. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yep. So as Martin Scorsese famously calls that movie, it is cinema. You should watch it anywhere you can at that point. But hope you're exactly. So thank you all our patrons for supporting the GUA. We greatly appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying all the long back catalog of content that we have. But if you're not a member of our Patreon you want to join, go to www.patreon.com/GUA network to become a member. But if you can't join us on Patreon, we totally understand. If you want to take 30 to 90 seconds and rate and review the Marvel Alliance solo feed, GUA network feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast apps of choice, we greatly appreciate it. And we want to, last but not least, thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with immaculate packaging, excellent customers, ships around the world. Order books, you earn points to earn discounts on future orders as well. We've got about halfway through this month's pre-orders of such as books like Captain America, The Trial of Captain America Omnibus, new printing, Amazing Spider-Man by Nick Spencer, Volume 2, Alpha Flight by John Byrne coming back into print, XMen, The Hidden Years, first time in print. Thor by Jason Aaron, first time ever, volume 2 of that illustrious run. And if you want to shop on there, use that code MARVELGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. Use it an unlimited amount of times. And we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. And I see Travis Hines in the chat saying, I think I would watch it over Flash season 9. Oh, no, yes.
The Swamp Thing, yeah.
Yep. You got to celebrate what you actually have out there. Come on, Travis. You got to celebrate the Flash. I mean, I haven't watched that newest episode yet because you sell it so well. So, but all right. Well, our first topic of the evening, our main topic is we are going to rank our top 10 MCU supporting cast. We talk about like our favorite movies, our favorite scenes, our not favorite non-action scenes. Well, since like we said, we had a light news week, so let's look at like the characters that prop up our main cast. Our in some cases, like what would be on our list at one point as supporting cast have actually become lead roles, lead actors, such as Sam and Shuri at that point. So they have been elevated to lead status.
Elevated and disqualified at the same time.
Elevated and disqualified. So just when you might have made the list, sorry, you're in a whole new category now. So what we're going to do is Brent and I are going to kind of go back and forth. We're each going to give 5 names, and so we made sure to have some extras in case one person chooses it. And then after that, we're gonna, out of those 10, we're gonna choose kind of our top 5 from that list. So, I'll go first with my first choice. Someone that if he's not on your list, Brent, I'm going to be very disappointed in you because whether we realize it or not, we're really living in the Wong CU. So, so Wong is definitely one of my top 10 supporting characters for the MCU. I mean, he has, since his introduction to Doctor Strange, he has truly grown, and in Phase 4, the randomness and how he has appeared in shows like She-Hulk and beyond, it's really just cool to see him really Benedict Wong, the actor who portrays Wong in the show, how well he's been received at that point. It's just even the memes that have been created. I see that I see the meme from She-Hulk saying we're truly are in the golden age of TV.
Oh, yeah. Well, Hines can attest that Wong was not on the list I sent him of people I'd come up with. Because I was giving an example, but I've played with my list since confirming I was going to be on tonight, and so Wong was on there, but you took him as yours. Don't worry, I got plenty of others to go with. I gotta go with Aunt May.
Okay.
May Parker is just such an important character, obviously, and I love the way that the importance of the responsibility line and lesson was given to her for this interpretation. I think that's great. So Aunt May was one of the first names that I thought of, and she is the first one on my list.
Yeah, I like the choice of Aunt May. Aunt May was definitely on my backup choices just because not just, it's Peter's aunt at that point, but I think really No Way Home did a good job finally kind of elevating her character beyond just being the aunt. And one might say, well, that's just one movie compared to the others, but like, she has those moments in the other movies where she was, mainly Homecoming, not so much Far From Home, but Homecoming and No Way Home are probably where she truly shines at that point. And especially, like you said, the change of the impact of the character not being Uncle Ben but giving the infamous line to her in No Way Home was we both said like we had no problem with that. It fit what they were trying to go with at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my next one will be Bucky Barnes. So,
Hines had told me he was thinking about Bucky. He was like, "Oh, is Bucky going to count? I don't know." Like, it's felt like a gray area, but I'll allow it because Bucky is amazing, and he's not technically the lead of anything, right?
Yeah, not that we know yet. We know he's
co-lead on Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think officially, but is really Sam's show. So.
Yep. It does say the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so Falcon gets the top billing, and then later Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But yeah, Bucky, from where we see him in Captain America: First Avenger to where we get the transition to him being the Winter Soldier in the movie Captain America: Winter Soldier. He has always been that quote unquote since he came back Winter Soldier, Steve's greatest regret and the one person that not just knows him, but the one person he has to bring back from the brink. And especially as we get into for future Patreon, Civil War, and then the after effects at that point of him coming out of Civil War, he's gone through a lot of transition. And I think what really created make me wanting to put him up in my kind of top list is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Those the psychologist scenes, the discussions he's had with Sam, like how he pushes Sam at that point. He makes Sam a better person, especially, when they're, I think it's like this penultimate episode at that point when they're tossing the shield around and having that discussion about what the shield means, stuff like that. Like he is a key part of that. He makes Sam a better version of himself, and they do so well together. I can't wait to see them back on screen, and I can't wait to see them in the Thunderbolts.
I think I'm going to audible my Fact or Fiction for the night because I have one related to those two, and I think you've convinced me that tonight's the night. I'm gonna bring it out.
All right,
but before we get there, my next one I'm going to list is I'm going to stick with a Captain America character.
All right.
Dr. Erskine, Abraham Erskine, the doctor who creates the super soldier serum. I love that performance. Stanley Tucci turns in for the first Avenger, or in the first Avenger. The way, like the conversation he has with Steve the night before the thing, when he just tells him, just focus on being a good man, not being a perfect soldier. And it's I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like it's a weak person who understands power, or he's one of he was probably the second name I thought of, and is he the most important character? Probably not, but he did create Captain America, so I'm gonna put him on my list.
All right, I like it. That did not have him on my list, so you got me on that one. That's a good pull. My next one will be Queen Ramonda at that point. So we've said it over and over again, Angela Bassett is a force to be reckoned with in Wakanda Forever, but even in the original Black Panther, the grace, the regalness, like she just, like what she brings to that character and what we see exactly, even if she does not don a suit, like the amount of time, like even in Black Panther, when we see T'Challa, when we think he's dead at that point, how she has to find a way to uplift not just Shuri, but the people who are trying to figure out where to go, and how she goes to Umbraku and tries to reason with him. And even then when in Wakanda Forever, where she has to lead a nation where, as she says at one point, she thinks that she has lost all her family. She is what is left of her lineage. And just, man, in just 2 movies, she is definitely one that, even though, spoiler alert, she does pass away in Wakanda Forever, that character has left an illustrious mark on that franchise and in the story of the MCU.
All right, I like it. I like that choice. Well, this is on my list, but it's not in the order I'd written down before we started tonight. But whatever, I'm going with it. Trevor Slattery. I like Trevor Slattery. He cracks
not on my
me
list
up.
either. You're pulling it. Nice.
Cracks me up in Iron Man 3. I think he's fantastic. I love that twist. I'm sorry, the real Mandarin was never going to work, and I get it. And then the way they bring him back, and the comedic performance he turns in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, it just cracks me up every time I watch him. I think it's so great. I love that they've done this with this ridiculous character, and I love that we're gonna see him again in Wonder Man. So just more Trevor Slattery, please. I'll take it.
This is where it gets tough because I got like two ones left. We'll probably have to do some honorable mentions at that point. Man, I will go with Ned Leeds, Peter Parker's best friend, and the one who has been with all 3 movies. He was the first person that Peter confided in with the secret, or when he found out the secret and everything like that. But Ned just being that confidant, he is the true friend. He is the true, despite like him wondering, is he ever going to be an enemy at that point? But he's always been there for him, even at the touching sequence at the end when he doesn't get to see his friend anymore at the end of No Way Home. His friend doesn't remember him. But all that journey to be there with him through thick and thin, he never gave up on Peter, pushed him to do that. Even the humorous stuff that they had with each other. Ned is a great supporting character, and I'm glad that he is in the MCU, and hopefully we haven't seen the last of him.
You know, Ned is someone I strongly considered on my list, but I felt like I've already got Spider-Man represented with Aunt May, and I've got Spider-Man represented with this next name that I'm going to say, so I ultimately didn't do it. This next one, I kind of double dipping here, Happy Hogan. You know, we've got Iron Man supporting cast and Spider-Man supporting cast at this point. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if he's in Spider-Man 4, he will appear in more Spider-Man movies than Iron Man movies, but which I find kind of funny. But Happy Hogan is just such a fun character. You know, so between is that playing off of Tony Stark or playing off of Peter Parker, or you know, hitting on May Parker, like the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just here for all of it. So I love what Jon Favreau has done, and I love that he continues to be part of the MCU, even though he hasn't directed anything since 2010's Iron Man 2.
Star Wars came calling.
Star Wars did come calling, and that's fine. Keep doing the Star Wars thing. That's working. But I like that, you know, he's still a part of the MCU. I like that he's still there as recently as the most recent Spider-Man movie with No Way Home just last year.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you chose it, because that was going to be, I had like between two choices, so I'm glad you took it as one, because it made my next choice easier, because I would have regretted not having it. But yeah, totally agree. Happy Hogan, especially not just his impact on Iron Man, just being his bodyguard, but also particularly in Far From Home. And his impact in No Way Home was more kind of a humor thing, but I think Far From Home, especially when at the end of the movie where he has that conversation with Peter, that when I was putting him on my list at that point of possible choices, it's that scene that really makes Happy stand out to me. So, all right, my last choice for our list at that point is going to be Rocket Raccoon.
Okay, all right. I mean, Rocket Raccoon, great character. Is he supporting cast member? I feel like you're flirting with the rules there, but all right, we'll
well, it you know, if anything at that point, you know, if we're gonna put like a lead, it's Star-Lord. If it's gonna be a lead,
you're right. Star-Lord is probably number one on the call sheet.
Yes, but in all of it, we're gonna be honest, it is an ensemble cast, so technically, you know, at that point. But yes, Rocket. I choose Rocket, not just the humor he brings to it at that point, but it's those moments where the humor is mixed with heart, and how much he in his relationship with Groot, even though he can be kind of sometimes crude to Groot when he was older at that point, but he truly cares not only about Groot but about the others. And you kind of see that especially in the trailer for the third one. Like there is, under all that like exterior of like foul mouth, you know, gunning, killing, everything like that, wanting to get that eye, wanting to get that arm, he truly cares about this family that he has, and in the family that we might be introduced to in the movie as well, that when he was created. So Rocket is my last choice.
I mean, yeah, co-sign everything you just said. Rocket, he cracks me up so much. You're making me kick grass. I love that. Okay, last one. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Umbraku from the Black Panther franchise. I love the character development that this character has, that Winston Duke, you know, turns into this performance for him. He goes from being an antagonist and a rival in the first film to kind of being a savior of you know, not just T'Challa, but of T'Challa's family towards the end of the first film. Helps him out, stands with him, you know, in Wakanda during Infinity War, and then, you know, becomes someone who can provide counsel to his sister. And he's the one who declares that the Black Panther lives in Wakanda forever when Shuri comes back. He's the one who announces it to everybody. I love Umbraku. He's hilarious, but he's so much fun to watch. King Umbraku, you're absolutely right. And the guy's just got charisma for days. So Umbraku had to make my list.
And I do need to stand corrected. If I'm going to correct you on King Umbraku, I need to correct myself. Sorcerer Supreme Wong.
Sorcerer Supreme Wong. That's you're not wrong at all.
Not Wong.
Right. Good Lord. I didn't.
Well, it's all right. You set me up for it. I'm going to say 2 honorable mentions. They're not going to make our list, but I think it needs to be said for at least these 2 that my first honorable mention is going to be Darcy Lewis. I think Darcy, not just coming into being the kind of humor relief as she was for the first 2 Thor movies, but when she got reintroduced in WandaVision, how much of a pivotal part she played in that series, and that she proved like, okay, she's not just a funny kind of seeming aloof PhD student, but when she really came to her own and showed that, hey, I'm smart, I know what's going on here, and starting to figure things out, that kind of really made her stand out to me in that character, and definitely deserves a mention. And the other one I want to mention is Yondu. And just because even after, you see how much in Volume 1, like the antagonist nature of him and Peter at that point, but even in their back and forth, you see further on, especially in Volume 2, how much he truly loved Peter, how much he cared for Peter, and that line saying, "I may have not been your father, but what's the line? I'm trying to say it, but I'm botching it at that point.
He may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy," or something.
He wasn't your daddy.
That's the sentiment.
Yeah, that's the sentiment. Yeah, then that's the line, actually. And especially where we get that surprise appearance in the kind of animated part of the holiday special about that the Christmas where he spent on the ship for the first time as a kid. Yondu had such an impact on Peter and what he represents and how he lived his life at that point beyond just being a Ravager. I think both of those. I mean, I could have easily put either. I easily could have put either one of them on there. It's just everyone kind of stands out just a little bit more. Any honorable mentions that you have?
Yeah, I have a couple. First one's going to be my loophole character,
Okay.
because technically they did go on to lead a Marvel project. Agent Phil Coulson wasn't a Marvel Studios project. That's why I'm saying it counts, because as far as the Marvel Studios projects goes, he's always been a great supporting character. And yes, he went on and had a great time in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show as well. So it was exciting to have him come back, just a few years ago in Captain Marvel, because he hadn't been around the MCU since the Avengers. My other one, just having a little fun with it. This character is absurd. This character is ridiculous. No, it's not MODOK, but it is Miss Minutes. Miss Minutes is making.
Oh my gosh! What a brilliant honorable mention. That's brilliant.
What else is there to say? It's Miss Minutes. I love that character, and I hope she's back for Loki season 2. I'm sure she will be. Yeah,
no, I'm very much sure. One character I had on my list, but I'm reserving if we want to ever revisit, is Monica Rambeau. The reason I hold off on an honorable mention, I think she did great in WandaVision. I really want to see what she can do in the Marvels and see if she brings it up to another level of, I want to see that that interaction with her and Carol, that first time meeting after so many years of what's going on. So I think that's going to be very interesting. So again, not saying she's not a good supporting cast. It's just we've only seen one project with her, and I want to see a little bit more from it. But what she brought to WandaVision, great.
Yeah, completely agree.
So, all right. So let's pick our top 5
of this list of 10 that we've
come up with. Yeah. So who do we have on it? We got.
I mean, who?
Let me just say this. I say Wong needs to be in that top 5.
I'm gonna say Bucky does. Since he's on the list, and let's put Bucky in.
I can agree with Bucky. In fact, let's just go with 5. Who are 5 that's no in particular order at that point? So we got Wong, we got Bucky. What do you feel about?
I think I'm gonna throw out Happy Hogan.
Okay,
That's a mainstay ever since the beginning.
Okay. Who else do we have on the list? Kind of run through our next our other choices.
Left, we've got from yours, Ramonda, Ned, and Rocket, and then from my picks, May, Dr. Erskine, Trevor, and Umbraku. It's not going to be Trevor. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
it's not going to be.
It's not going to be Trevor.
He's not in our top 5.
I would say Ned. I think Ned's, like I said, he is very ever present in all 3 of those movies. He is very much connected to Peter and very pivotal moments of Peter's entire journey at that point. So what do you feel? Do you think Ned reaches that top 5 status?
Yeah, you've convinced me from our list here. From the remainings, I'm gonna throw the hat in the ring for Aunt May.
Okay.
Like she's arguably the most important side character to Marvel's biggest character. So
okay.
That's why I'm going to say Aunt May. What do you think?
I'm 50-50 on it. I'm not necessarily, it's not enough for me to say I want someone out because I'll put up who I think should be our last choice.
Is Rocket your other choice?
No, it would be.
Okay, let's hear it.
It'd be Queen Ramonda.
Ooh. All right. That's tough.
I'm not saying to kick out Aunt May. I'm just saying I think Queen Ramonda needs to be in that top 5.
All right, our top 5 has 6 people in it, so we're going with Wong, Bucky, Happy, Ned, May, and Ramonda as
okay. So
top 6 supporting characters because you're
top
right.
6 supporting characters.
She's especially after that performance in Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
can't leave her out. So there we go. That's kind of fun. You know, we don't often look at the supporting cast. They'll get talked about right in the middle of a project, but you don't often go back and revisit cool moments and stuff with those characters. So that was fun. And in case someone's wondering, for the record, I immediately disqualified anything from the Netflix shows for me because while yes, in my head they are still canon, I haven't seen those characters in a Marvel Studios project yet. I've only seen Daredevil. I haven't seen the rest of them. So for the record, that is why I did not include any of them, or else I may have to find a place in here for Foggy somewhere, but he doesn't count. So
Matt Murdock did not make your list of supporting characters technically since supporting character in She-Hulk.
I can't give it to him as much as I love that episode. That's one of my favorite Disney Plus episodes of any of the shows. Yeah. I can't give him that though for one appearance in a sub 30-minute episode.
Well, he technically is disqualified since he does have an entire show devoted to him.
He did have 2 appearances, but you're right. He is definitely the leading man in another show, so he doesn't even qualify.
Yeah, but let us know what you think. Who's on your list? Does our list kind of match yours? Who should we have picked? Who did we not mention in our top? But again, there's so many good ones. And but yeah, this was a lot of fun. So all right, we're gonna take our first ad break before we get our quick hits of news. So listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and we can be a bit loud. So give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. So the kind of quote unquote big story of the week is Hugh Jackman possibly spilling some possibly major plot point for Deadpool 3. So speaking with the French news outlet Le Parisien, the MCU I like how they call this, the MCU newcomer Hugh Jackman may have
wrong.
No, it's not wrong. I do like that though. May have unexpectedly revealed a key detail about his role as Wolverine in 2024's Deadpool 3. Roughly translated, Jackman noted, "Yes, it will even be a dual role. Ryan and I have been friends for 20 years. We have a lot of fun together. We are getting ready to film this summer, and I'm in hard training mode. In fact, some of the photos from their training has been pretty impressive. So the key part is this: he is playing a dual role. Has spurred a lot of speculation, and it's did Jackman let slip that he's not? Is he playing more than one Wolverine? Is he playing variants? The stuff we've heard, the rumor mill of Scooper Madness, as we like to call it, has said that Deadpool 3 is going to be a very key part as we march towards Kang Dynasty Secret Wars. So much so that the TVA and Mobius have been rumored to be cast in this movie, that they are playing a key part in what Deadpool is going to be, quote unquote, romping through the multiverse. Will Deadpool be the big precipitating factor of breaking the multiverse? I mean, hey, Hugh Jackman as different versions. I mean, we kind of got a different version, a cloned version of him in Logan.
Kind of, yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, it was a clone. I mean, there were a couple clones there.
Yeah. I mean, we know how much you love clones. So I mean,
like clones.
Yes. But I mean, the idea of seeing different versions of Hugh Jackman that we never, obviously didn't have in the Fox universe, I'm all in for that. That looks really cool. As long as we see him, the proper one, in costume. I don't want to see a variant in costume. I want to see him, that Hugh Jackman in costume, not just a variant, him.
I'm a little easier, I guess, because I'll take Hugh Jackman in a costume. I don't care what variant it is. I just want to see a proper Wolverine costume, any of his proper costume. I want the mask, the whole thing. That's all I care about. If he's truly playing a dual role and they mean multiple Wolverines, I don't know what that's going to entail, but that sure implies something multiversal to me. I mean, yes, I know they've done the clone thing, but I just feel like they're going to go a different route with it, coming up with Secret Wars and rumors of Mobius, possibly making an appearance. Maybe there's some time travel involved. Deadpool has time traveled before, including involved with Wolverine.
Hey, that post-credit scene,
right? Maybe Deadpool's going to go revisit that post-credit scene and they're going to reshoot part of it. I don't know, but regardless,
pun intended. Pun intended. He did shoot him.
Always. This movie is just going to be so much fun, and I love seeing all these updates. I know they're going to start shooting this summer, and I can't wait for it. That first trailer is going to be amazing. And just like seeing the posters, we're gonna get we're probably gonna get to watch Wolverine stab Deadpool repeatedly, and I am gonna be so here for it. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with this. Marvel's first rated R film. Hugh Jackman is making an appearance as Wolverine. Deadpool, who is my favorite character from the Fox universe. I'm so excited for this movie.
I mean, we know that, Hugh Jackman got to drop the F-bomb in First Class. So the question is...
He did, yes, and that was hilarious.
So the question is he going to drop even more F-bombs? I mean, we know Logan was rated R, but...
I mean, with the amount of language that they said in Logan, it's not like he's shying away from it.
No, he's not. So I'm wondering how much they're going to allow, even though it's rated R, how rated R are we getting with the language?
That's a fair question. I did often feel like Logan was saying it just because they could, and they just wanted to get them all in there because this was finally their opportunity to do it. But unlike Logan and I would argue Professor X, it very much fits Deadpool's character to just let it fly. So hopefully maybe Wolverine can just go with the competition, go with the people he's around, and if in this movie if he lets it fly, that's fine.
But, I'll even step back from that just because you read the amount of Wolverine comics you and I probably read at that point. Like you said, it's more of Deadpool's character. It's really not Wolverine to be... He may be, crass and abrasive, but he's not necessarily one to frequently drop, profanities and things like that. Comic code aside, now that it's gone too, you don't see Wolverine really still... dropping F-bombs left and right. Like you said, that is more of a Deadpool role. So even if they have him drop an F-bomb or two, I don't think we need Wolverine to be that. He can be crass and abrasive in different ways than in just kind of competing for language barriers with Deadpool.
Sure. I would never put it past Deadpool to bring out the worst in somebody. So just to get under his skin, regardless, I'm still shocked that we're getting this movie. Shocked, but I'm really excited to start seeing some footage or some set pics, whatever of Deadpool 3.
Amara Daniels in the chat saying Deadpool should have the bleep button that he had in Once Upon a Deadpool. Yeah, that would be kind of fun too. I think they should give a little tip of the hat to that one as well.
I still like the idea of him being in a PG-13 movie. Maybe it's a team up with the Avengers or something, trying to cuss and it getting beeped out. I wouldn't need it all movie, but once or twice would be pretty funny if that happened. So like if you just it's Deadpool, he knows he's in the story, so that'd be pretty good.
All right, and our last story is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania's box office second weekend update. Brent, how well or poorly did it do?
It did very well at doing poorly. Let's put it that way.
I like what you did there.
$31.9 million second weekend, which in a vacuum sounds like it's pretty good, but that's a 70% drop. It's the biggest second weekend drop of the entire MCU by a couple percentage points, I think. Not good. It's not looking good. We have Creed opening this weekend. At the time of this recording, I think showings have already started.
Yep.
I will be stunned if Creed does not take the weekend. Ant-Man's not going to win any more weekends.
Especially, that'll be Jonathan Majors will take 3 weekends in a row with 2 different movies.
Yes, which is pretty impressive. It is at 368 worldwide as of right now.
Do you see it getting to 500?
I do think that's possible, but this movie is going to basically limp into break-even territory, I think. At this point, I feel like that is the best case scenario. It's going to limp into that range. So the reported budget, the best estimate is 200 million. So it really needs to get somewhere in that 500 to 600 million range to hit that break even. And the difference will really just come down to where the money is made. Was more of it domestic? Then they might be okay, closer to 500. Was more of it international? They might need to be closer to 600 because of different cuts and stuff that go towards the studios. And maybe I have that flipped, but you got the idea. So
yeah,
this movie is, the first 2 Ant-Man movies were both pretty profitable. They're probably breaking even on this one, but it has also been shown that there's an audience for this stuff on Disney Plus. Thor: Love and Thunder has, reportedly done pretty well on there. Eternals was the most watched Marvel project last year, which, okay, sure, it had the most time to be on there, but people were still watching it. So the interest is still there. The question is, I think this movie is going to have a good audience. It's just not a good audience that's going to show up theatrically. I already paid my $8 a month or $9 a month, whatever it is. I'm just going to wait and watch it in a month and a half or 2 months on Disney Plus and not have to pay for it versus, go pay $10, $15, $20 for a ticket in theaters. I don't think that, clearly this movie just didn't rise. It didn't bring people out. It didn't say, hey, you need to come see this in the theaters and you need to come see it as soon as possible.
Yeah. It ranks, top 3 is all in the game. Say top 3 biggest second weekend drops for 100 million opening. Batman vs Superman 69.1% drop, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. That one I'd heard. I was like, really? That one dropped 72% after 100 million weekend. I was like, man, Harry Potter. I did not remember that being that big of a drop, but that is impressive.
Yeah, I don't remember what Harry Potter. I'm trying to see what that one did opening weekend, but it I knew one of them had a really massive. But okay, it also Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows did 169 million opening weekend. So the bigger you go, you are more likely to get those big drops because so many people saw it. But regardless, there's no way you can spin Ant-Man into a rousing financial success. Again, they're going to limp their way to break even. That's basically what it is. When you factor in everything, all the revenue channels, and this movie is not going to lose money, but it's not going to make them money either.
Yeah, in all the games, saying China's not looking too good either, with 31.5 million after 2 weekends, and looking at a total of 40 to 45 million, 64% decrease from Ant-Man and the Wasp, 121.2. So
yeah,
again,
China's clearly going to take some time to build that audience back up for the Marvel projects.
Yeah, exactly. So, but all right, so that is all the news we have this week. So we are going to transition to our listener questions and fact or fiction. So Brent, as always, you put out the Spidey signal for questions. What questions do we have this week?
Yeah, we got a couple this week. From DC Outlaw, he says, I recently read the Avengers X-Men Eternals event Judgment Day, and I really liked it. I had previously heard talk that this could be potentially adapted for Eternals 2. This could make sense given the ending of the first movie, but do you think this would be a good choice for their sequel given the lower popularity and that the Avengers and X-Men aspects would most likely be non-existent in the movie? Chris, let's start with this. Have you read the Judgment Day storyline?
I have, and I'm glad DC Outlaw liked it. I did not.
Okay, all right, interesting. That's not the best endorsement ever.
I mean, let me kind of clarify that. I thought the beginning of it had potential, but as they were making this become bigger and bigger and bigger, I said, "There's no way this is going to last." Like by the end of it, something like it just felt like something was going to reset everything.
Well,
I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
That doesn't surprise me because that's how most of these major comic events are. But I will tell you, I have not read it yet. Yet is the operative word there. I have it in my library, like bookmarked in Marvel Unlimited, so that I can read it. It hasn't risen like to the priority list yet. Other things there, so it's there. I'm only really planning on reading the main 6-issue story, and I'm not really planning on going through any side ones. I've read a couple side ones. I just happened to go through other books that I was reading, but I've already read those.
I can point you to a few that are actually pretty good. I'll keep you clear of the of ones that you really don't need. But okay, I think the ending of it, there's one key thing that they did in the series that they're keeping, but the fact that they've jumped into an all different event for the X-Men, they haven't had time to really explore one big revelation that they've made a change. And so that's what I'm kind of waiting to see. But I will give a ringing endorsement, at least right now, to Sins of Sinister, the new X-Men event. That almost brings it to a level of Age of Apocalypse fun event. I am really enjoying Sins of Sinister.
Okay, yeah. I haven't. Well, I am so behind on X-Men stuff. Who knows? Maybe I'll just with the X-Men. Sometimes you just got to do it. Maybe I'll just jump in at Sins of Sinister and see what it's all about when they give you at least a good overview of what's happened. So if they don't, I would argue they're not doing a good job.
Correct. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, detail. I'm glad you liked it. I definitely would. It's definitely not one that I put like, oh, it's the worst event. I'm not saying it's the worst. I think it was more mid-level for me. But I think one of the most disappointing events I saw was Empire. Empire, I just thought was this bad.
I will say this: really I think pairing the Eternals with the Avengers, the X-Men is not a bad idea from a standpoint of like, hey, like have the big name guest star who pops up in the movie, right? I don't know if I would want it to be the X-Men right away, just because I feel like I want the MCU X-Men to get established. Don't just play off of the fact that we know who Hugh Jackman is. Let me be introduced to the Marvel Studios Wolverine and so on. But I think the idea of taking the Eternals and teaming them up with some others, that's probably a good move.
And I especially like what the idea of at the beginning of it, because I think what was it? Kieran Gillen's run on Eternals has been outstanding, and he is doing an outstanding job with X-Men as well. I think the trouble of adapting that without X-Men and Avengers makes it kind of hard to say that they should bring that for Eternals too, just because there's a lot going on where there's a lot of baggage with that they built to this event. And the idea of thinking like the X-Men are deviants, it was a really cool idea. And I think it got lost in the shuffle of the event itself. So, but like I said, beginning of the event started great. It was the middle and the end. I just think they botched the end game. So
fair enough. Okay, one more question from Omari Daniels. What has been your favorite year for Marvel-related films? For me, it's 2014 or 2018. 2014 was Guardians and the Winter Soldier, as well as X-Men Days of Future Past and Amazing Spider-Man 2. 2018, Black Panther, Infinity War, Deadpool 2, Into the Spider-Verse. What do you think?
I mean, he got mine as 2018. Yes, it was all those. I mean, basically, 3 out of the 4 could easily be in my top 10 superhero movies of all time.
I think 2018 is really hard to argue with. I'm gonna go ahead and just to be contrarian throw another year out, but
Sure.
you still might have to give it to 2018. I'm gonna actually say 2021 with which that was the year that started with WandaVision, went through Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, What If, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Hawkeye, and Spider-Man No Way Home. And something from Sony right now, I'm forgetting what it was. Was that Venom Let There Be Carnage? That was Venom Let There Be Carnage was that year also. And so it actually, now that I think about it, when did New Mutants actually release theatrically? Maybe that may have been
2020.
Was that still 2020? Okay. 2021, like, it's just such a solid group of projects there. And no, like, okay, Eternals is pretty low on my ranking, but so many of these are like in my top 15. So 2021 that was a very special year, I think, also.
Yeah, especially like you said, coming back from pandemic at that point, and the march towards, I mean, you say what you want, like project hitting with Marvel at that point. I mean, that started, it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much coming up. But like, you're right, 2021 definitely. But I think like in the sense of like what 2018 did, in the sense where we're like Black Panther, Infinity War, Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, Deadpool 2 is my one that I would leave out of my top 10, but still a good movie for what it was. But those three just are some very, very special movies for what they were doing in its respective genre. So
yeah, and actually that year, 2018, Ant-Man and the Wasp came out that year. That was a Marvel project that came out that year. Like, it was a fun year. It was a big year. Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, it's hard to argue with a year that has Into the Spider-Verse and Infinity War in it. Like, that's a tough one to argue with.
Yeah, it is. But all right, great questions. But before we head to Fact or Fiction, we're going to take our last ad break for the evening. So again, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud. Give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. And
before we do Fact or Fiction, let's do All in the Games question in the chat.
Oh, okay, yeah, go for it.
All right, it says, in a post-pandemic world, I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Would it be a good thing, both financially and creatively, if the non-Avengers movies were capped at $150 million for a production budget instead of the seemingly automatic 200? I think that's interesting. From a creative standpoint, I don't know. I mean, it's the kind of thing where I don't necessarily think one is more creative than the other. It's just the way you can be creative changes with your budget. So, but from a financial standpoint, I think there is very much something to be had there. Like, because you could make an argument that Ant-Man as a character doesn't command $200 million for the budget. Obviously, the story they chose is going to be heavier CGI and was heavier CGI than normal. But for a lot of these quote unquote smaller characters for the non-event movies, let's say that way, the non-event movies, you know, if they wanted to bring the budgets down closer to $150 million, I think that'd be really reasonable. I mean, even Spider-Man Homecoming, I need to look it up to fact check, but I think that was like that was around 150, and you can make Spider-Man with that. You can do any of them.
I think the tough part you get to is actor salaries, and I think separating
it was 175, 15 of which went to Robert Downey Jr. though.
Yeah, but like I said, like you have actor salaries that make up a lot of a bulk of the project at that point, the production budget. So it's almost like you almost want to like separating actors' budget, because again, as you get to Robert Downey Jr. level, or you get to Tom Holland level, like ones who have been consistently with it, Paul Rudd. I'm not saying he's making Tom Holland money, but
he's been in 5 movies now.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when you keep on coming back to these characters, their price tag's going to go up. And so it's almost like to do 150 million is like, okay, well, are you going to get the actors sticking around? Or are we talking about like keeping production in a sense of like separate the actors, even though you really can't, but separating from what you pay the actors versus what you give the actual production side?
Yeah, and I guess now that I think about it, going along with the actors, the people behind the scenes, the writers, the producers, directors, Peyton Reed. I mean, he also was there for all 3 Ant-Man movies, and
Russo brothers,
the Russo brothers
James Gunn.
before. going back to the Infinity Saga, not just the Russo brothers, but Marcus and McFeely wrote all 3 Cap movies, 2 of the Avenger movies, and they have a partial credit on Thor: The Dark World. Like their price is going to go up over time. So it's hard to do, but let's put it this way: I definitely think the newer crop of characters should probably be those lower budgets. As newer characters come out, they probably need to start with those lower budgets until they've proven themselves with the fan base and with the general audience.
It will be very interesting to see the budget of Thunderbolts and Captain America: New World Order. Those budgets,
whole bunch of returning people, and
big cast.
It's got to be up there. It's got to be.
Yeah,
that's going to be. That's probably, you're probably looking at $225 minimum.
Yeah,
for that one.
So, but yeah, great question all in the game. Thanks for catching that, Brent. So, all right. So, fact and fictions from last week. These were popping off. Like we were getting into hundreds of votes with these. So, fact and fiction number 1: we will see the Guardians of the Galaxy will return at the end of the credits for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 53% said fact. 47% said fiction. Number 2. Craven will not cross 50 million domestically during its first weekend. 66% said fact, 34% said fiction. And last but not least, Val, don't say her name, don't even think it, will make a cameo appearance in Secret Invasion. 90% say fact, 10% said fiction. They like them some Val.
Yeah, I mean, don't call her that, but yeah.
Yep. All right, so it's your turn this week. Go for it.
Well, the Sam and Bucky one that I've been sitting on for a little while, now is the time. You inspired me. When Sam and Bucky next meet, in whatever project that may be, they will be on opposite sides of whatever the conflict is in that story.
Yes. I say yes.
Part of me, I don't want it. I don't want it because I don't want to see Captain America fighting the Winter Soldier, but at least not at this point. But I think it's going to happen. I agree. I think it's a fact.
I don't think it's going to be permanent. I don't think it's permanent, but I think that they at one point will be on opposite sides of whatever it's going to be in Thunderbolts.
And yes, that's exactly it. It's going to be something related to the Thunderbolts. And Bucky's status as a Thunderbolt is not going to go well with Sam. All right, so we're both facts on that one.
Yep.
Agatha, Coven of Chaos.
All right.
We'll begin with a previously on WandaVision segment. Sticking with its roots as a TV show from a TV shows.
I want to see it. Heart wants it. Heart's going to say fact on this. Heart's going to win out on this one. So I'm the fact as well. And like, this is probably the one I'm the most confident of any of them, just because to me, it just makes so much sense the way WandaVision was, the ode to sitcoms previously. Like I think they're going to do it. I will be shocked if they don't. Now, how much Wanda would be in that sequence versus how much Agatha? Probably not that much, but I think they're going to do it. Well, especially, how they're billing this as another kind of like dark, kooky comedy in that, not only exploring Agatha's past, but seeing where does she fit in this saga now that she is, at least initially, blocked from her current state. She's in her quote unquote fog state of Westview. So,
all right, and the final one, Loki season 2 will visit the early 1940s and the Stark Expo that we saw during Captain America: The First Avenger.
I have been, like I said, one of my biggest disappointments of Loki season 1 was what we wanted to see in going through different multiverses being formed. Call it budget, call it stuff like that. We only saw like a little bit in it, but not when everything blew up with the time bombs going off. So, so you said 1940s? That's very specific Stark Expo.
I am, because I'm saying the Stark Expo from the first Avenger.
Because of who the variant we got introduced to in the end credits.
Right. I actually had this written down prior to that credit scene for the record.
Good for you, though. I'll believe you.
I would have been a fiction until that credit scene introducing us to Victor Timely. With his connections to the Human Torch, they teased the Human Torch at the Stark Expo. I'm gonna. It's not a strong one, but I'm gonna slide over from fiction to fact.
Yeah, I'm a fact as well, just because they like giving people payoffs for those who pay attention. And they like giving those winks and nods to those of us who do pay attention and those callbacks. So this is not far outside the realm of possibility that it is someone that Victor Timely keeps on coming back throughout time. So time is all we have.
And just to be clear, like, I'm not saying like Chris Evans is going to show up or whatever. I'm just saying they're going to be there and we're going to know it. Like we'll know. They'll put the year on it. You know, we will know it's that one. We'll probably see the statue.
Yeah, I'll take it. So, all right. Well, I will post those Sunday afternoon. So we'll let your voices be heard. And so we end our evening as we always do. Comic Book Club, Spider-Verse Part 4, Amazing Spider-Man number 12. So we kind of left off in a rough spot because Captain Universe Spider-Man is gone. Solos basically beat him and drained him. So the Scion Benji has been taken, and they're in a pretty rough state right now. The Spiders.
They are, and I gotta point out something just ridiculous.
All right.
Solus says to Morlun, quote, "You have him, the youngest totem," and on the same page, staring at him, Morlun is holding the baby. Yes, It's very obvious he has him. And I feel like something got there was a disconnect there between writer and artist on this page, because it's so obvious he has him, and I'm like, yeah, there's no secret here. Like, it's right there. Plus, at the end of last issue, he stood holding the baby above his head triumphantly.
Yep. I'm going to say my favorite moment of this entire issue is Peter saying he's found a friend, and everybody say hi to Takayuki Yashiro, the Spider-Man of Earth 51778, Japanese Spider-Man Japan. Coming into this moment, oh my gosh, when I remember reading this, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. They made it canon to canon Marvel Comics. That is so awesome. They've got the wristband at that point.
I love that they include that. Yes.
Oh my God, they had it. They have his bot. And that he's able to survive even though the bot doesn't at that point, but they didn't kill him off. I liked it that they kept him, at least right now, with us as a surviving member of the Spiders.
Yeah, and then there's a couple other fun sequences in this as well. I really enjoy Silk as she's running away. She goes to this world that's basically been ravaged by nuclear explosions. And she puts a webbing cocoon around her to protect her from the radiation. I don't know how much that's going to actually do, but it's great because as soon as a couple inheritors show up, they immediately get sick from being there. And then I really enjoy the Jessica Drew element where she is posing as a different Jessica Drew on Loom World.
Especially when we see the basically in Loom World, we get the Master Weaver basically saying, yeah, I'm helping the inheritors, but I'm also not necessarily helping them as much as you think I am. There are certain things I'm trying to control and shape with that. And she gives Jessica these two quote unquote prophecies that they need to hold on to and need to read in order to, it sounds like, be successful.
Yeah, exactly right. And there is just this one little quick check-in where, they do the kind of thing where they're checking in on the miniseries tied into this. This one is just a really fun panel of Miles and Ultimate Peter Parker and several other spiders.
Spider Buggy.
Including Spider Buggy, including a horse, including the one from the old 60s Spider-Man show.
Yep.
It's a fun, goofy panel.
Yeah. I do like that you get basically what I've called Spider-Woman, Steampunk's Spider-Woman, and Miguel working on the quote-unquote clone of Deimos and trying to do that. They seem to be a pair that they're just there with each other. They're not necessarily kind of tight. They seem to be kind of disagreeing on how they go about things.
Absolutely.
But especially when we get to the end, We get the revelation everyone goes to the world that Silk is on because it's more of a safe world at that point, but they all get there looking at the fallout shelter that Ezekiel has designed basically on all these worlds to protect them from the inheritors that also Silk is quite familiar with. Go read her kind of origin story as well. But as the door opens to this fallout shelter, they meet the Spider-Man of this world, and it is revealed to be Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. That's right.
So yeah, we leave on that big revelation on this world. So we only got 2 more issues left. So Brent and I, it's going to be our choice next comic book club. So we're going to have to start kind of working on ideas of what we want to do. So
yeah, we're going to need to have that conversation, aren't we?
Yes, we will. So we got 2 weeks. We can figure it out.
Yeah,
so,
we'll be
all right. All right, so that is everything we got for 153. You know, short episode, but a fun episode, I would say. So, Brent, tell people how they can follow you.
Yeah, just go to Brent Tech Social, and that's got links to where I'm at on social media and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balga. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. Dropped my newest episode this week with my buddy Tyler returning to look at Volume 2, American Vampire, that great DC series from Vertigo.
It's a good book.
Yes, very much. It's Scott Snyder, Raphael Albuquerque. You just can't go wrong with that team. You can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel A Podcast. Again, want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. Follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUAPod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions, go to our DMs. All our DMs on all accounts are open. Continue to rate, review the Marvel Alliance solo feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts on your podcast apps of choice. I want to thank everyone for joining us live in the chat. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, Brent. For post-credits discussion tonight, we're going to go to a galaxy far, far away. And we're going to talk about, give our quick thoughts on Mandalorian episode, first season premiere of season 3. I will say this and promote it. Go check out Star Wars Alliance for their full breakdown of everything. It was a great breakdown, great show. Clay and Katie did a great job with it this week, so check that show out. It was a jam-packed show of news and the breakdown of both Mando episode 1 of season 3 and the newest episode of the Bad Batch. So check them out. But we're going to give our quick thoughts. And you say, why do we get it? We want to remind you all that Marvel Comics does publish the Star Wars books. So that's how we get it on a loophole.
That's our excuse. We're sticking to it every time.
Darn right. So, Brent, what were some of your thoughts on this first episode?
And just to be clear, this won't have any spoilers in it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite episode of the series, but I thought it was a really good season premiere. You know, they remind you about the status quo. They laid out what the plan is going forward. They give you, depending on how you look at it, a couple missions, maybe a bigger mission, smaller mission going forward. And it had some cool action in it, you know, and Grogu doing Grogu things. Like I thought it was a good, solid episode, a good season premiere, but not my favorite episode of all of Mando.
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but it's one of those things. I made a comment in our GOA chat. It's like, you had the previously on establishing what's happened, and then literally within the first 5 minutes of the episode, we're re-going over what happened again. And I get that probably people may have skipped the recap and do that. I get it. It just seemed like kind of laughable. It's like, didn't you watch this at that point? But I get it. But I did like the action sequence. I love there's a cool space battle that happens. That was nice to see at that point. Seeing how much some people have changed at that point. It just, like you said, definitely wasn't out of the 2 season premieres. This definitely was not. This probably right now ranks at the last of it. It's still good. It's just not there where I was wanting. I wasn't expecting huge revelations. I wanted a little bit more, but again, we have a whole season to go down to. It just felt like kind of treading water of people that it almost seemed like this was the episode, like if you didn't see Book of Boba Fett yeah, this is how we're gonna make it up to you. This is probably it would be very interesting to see if people didn't watch Book of Boba Fett what they thought of this season premiere. You know,
it would be, and I keep seeing people level this criticism of, oh, you didn't know about Grogu because of Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, it's awkward.
yes,
I genuinely think the Book of Boba Fett should have actually been titled The Mandalorian, subtitle The Book of Boba Fett. If Book of Boba Fett was officially The Mandalorian season 3, nobody would be complaining about it. Everyone would have just thought, oh, there's a fun little couple episodes to the side talking about Boba Fett, and then it rolled right back into The Mandalorian with what was episode 5 of Book of Boba Fett, which that episode is probably my favorite Mandalorian episode, which is kind of funny. But
yeah.
I get why people. I feel like if you're still harping on that, you're just being pedantic, and people are definitely still harping on that at this point. I'm like, it's effectively one show. Like I don't know. Like, do you get upset that you missed something in the Avengers because you didn't watch Captain America: Civil War? I don't know. Like it's one show, you know. So I definitely. It's weird, but it's weird because of the name of the project. The actual stories all make sense.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to as we get deeper into the season. Even though the season premiere didn't like wow me, it's just like okay, it's there. You know, all in the game saying should it have been a 2-episode opener?
No.
From what we understand, the screeners that have been gone out, they have only seen through episode 2, so they even only gave through episode 2. But I don't think it should have been. I'm fine with just seeing this episode and kind of being okay. This is just a small little taste of things to come. I think this season has a lot. In the sense of not only seeing Jin's journey to reclaiming his mantle as a Mandalorian, but also seeing exactly what the galaxy is doing at this point. Because, okay, we don't have, like, his journey is not to get Grogu back to the Jedi Order. You know, Grogu's made his choice to stay with Mando. So what is after, my question is, after you know, he's going to, in my opinion, you know, get to, you know, Mandalore to try to reclaim his title of being a Mandalorian. What else is going on? Like, what is the other big storyline? Because I don't see that as just being it. You know.
I agree. I don't think that'll be it, but I guess we'll see. But we know there's going to be side missions and stuff like that, as people like to say. Yep. All in the Game's question about should have been a 2-episode opener. I don't think so because it's the 3rd season. You're not trying to hook the audience at this point. Like if somebody's watching it, they're going to watch it week to week anyway. They don't need that. And if somebody is new to the show, there's 2 other past seasons plus Book of Boba Fett that they can go back to if they want to revisit more of this. So I don't think this one should have been a 2-episode premiere. But I mean, I wouldn't have complained. So I'm like, well, it's only a few days till the next one, so it's all right.
Exactly. But yeah, check it out if you haven't. Again, check out Star Wars Alliance for all the breakdown and all the Easter eggs, everything you want to talk about there. Go check them out. But yeah, those are our thoughts, and I'm looking forward to this upcoming season of Mandalorian Season 3. So we will see you all next week. So you all have a good weekend, good upcoming week, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.